everyone, and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host, Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. So joining me today in the studio is Suzie Addison Toor. I got that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Yep.
I did it. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I know you have a very busy schedule, but I'm so excited to learn more about, I've got your title here, Director, Center for Change Making and Social Innovation at Georgian College.
You got it.
What a wonderful title.
Mm-hmm.
So Suzie, what does that mean? Tell us all about it.
Well, Georgian College has 3 different centers geared around supporting innovation, so an integrated innovation kind of model.
Okay.
Our center in particular supports social innovation, but because Georgian College has just achieved its designation as a Changemaker Campus, we incorporated the change-making title into the Center for Change Making and Social Innovation.
Amazing. So what does that mean they have? It's from the Ashoka designation, is that correct?
Yeah.
That's what they're the only campus in Canada?
Yes.
A college.
The only college
The
in
only
Canada.
college in Canada
Yes.
with that designation.
Yes.
So what is Ashoka and what does it mean to have that designation?
So Ashoka is the largest global organization that supports social innovation education in the world. Okay. We have worked with Ashoka for about 3 years, and Ashoka specifically has a part of their organization that supports post-secondary institutions because they see post-secondary institutions as being hubs and communities where social innovation can happen. So through partnerships, reciprocal partnerships in particular, working with students, working with school boards, Ashoka sees that post-secondaries are a place where good things can happen. Absolutely. And so what they do is that they look for post-secondary institutions across the world that are emanating or using education to imbue social innovation through the community. We were honored to go through the process of the designation through about 1.5 years, and we were successful. So right now we're the only college, but we do join 5 universities in Canada,
okay,
including Simon Fraser, Ryerson, Mount Royal, and Royal Roads, to name a few.
Wow. So let's just go back a bit. Social innovation.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So social innovation are basically ideas that are system changing that have uptake. So they can be small ideas that change a system, or they can be very large system changing ideas that have an uptake. And when you talk about social entrepreneurship, it's related to social innovation because sometimes those ideas can be monetized.
Right. So a social enterprise would be a business, right? That it can be for profit. It doesn't have to be not for profit.
So social entrepreneurship has very, very many definitions, but in terms of the basic model, it is a business that has both an economic and a social or environmental value.
Okay. And I love that Ashoka sees post-secondary education. Our young people, our change makers, let's start there because they are the future.
Yeah.
Right? And if they start seeing that they can create change, then how wonderful for all of us. Yes.
And so we are working in terms of that, those students that are coming into Georgian College. We know that this is one of the first generations that is coming through our school boards that have always had recycling clubs, that have always had social justice clubs, that have always had me to we adventures.
Right.
We know that these students are socially active and want to contribute and want jobs in the future that are balanced in terms of work-life balance, but also give them an opportunities to give back and have meaning in their careers.
Wow, and that's and also, of course, the changes from when I went to school. There's now LGBTQ support. We talk about mental health, ending the stigma, bullying, zero tolerance. So none of that when I was in school was a part of society or the curriculum or anything, and so that's also part of change, isn't it?
It's also part of change making, and you'll see our students, they're the ones that are starting the clubs and the initiatives and asking our administration to look at different policies, to look at access. So it's really these students that are coming through that really are the change makers and helping us make change in terms of our systems as well.
Well, isn't that extraordinary?
I know, it does. It gives me goosebumps in terms of the joy it brings not only to the students when they are seeing that change can happen, but also to the framework that we're building at Georgian, because we are allowing the change to happen. And what I mean by that is sometimes our own structures and our own policies can be the structures that impede change.
Sure.
So a lot of allowing change to happen in a change-making environment is to look at our own systems and take away those barriers so that things can happen and things can change for the better for both community and the students.
That is music to my ears, because I will tell you, one of the things that just drives me crazy when I hear is, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been. And my husband will say, oh, did you say that to Yvonne's face? Because change is the only constant. And when you see something that isn't working well, that is opportunity for change, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and to know that Georgian is supporting that change, it must be very rewarding for the staff, for the students, for their families, right? That ripple effect.
Yeah, and one of the things too that we've noticed is that when you have change making as the agenda, so it's not just change for the sake of change, it's finding that there is a gap either in a system or in a community that could be filled with socially innovative ideas. So it's not just change for change's sake, but we know that if we are making room for ideation, so brainstorming and thinking about things in different ways, and then putting resources behind them, that does bring people joy. And when I say people, it's staff, it's employees at Georgian, it's students, it's our community partners. And that together helps us ensure that we have a purpose-driven organization. So everybody's connected by this mantra or this culture of change making. So it's pretty fantastic.
That is fantastic. So are there some stories or anything that sort of stands out for you that...
Sure. So I can tell you about our community impact labs that happen at the Aurelia campus. This is a field placement alternative for students in our community safety and human service programs. So students spend 2 days a week in the lab and then 3 days in their academic courses. What the lab does is uses human-centered design thinking to look at a social issue and then hack it. So what that means is looking at it from many, many different angles. So the social issue is understood by the consumer before the ideas for solving or contributing to a solution occurs. And so, for example, this year what we did is we tackled food insecurity, and we partnered with 8 different community organizations. So the school board, we partnered with Twin Lakes, for example. We partnered with the Sharing Place, which is the food bank in Aurelia. We partnered with a long-term care facility, et cetera, et cetera. And what we did is we looked at what does food insecurity look like from that lens. So if you are in a daycare, what does it look like from a daycare provider, from a family's perspective, compared to what does it look like if you are in the Sharing Place from a food bank perspective. So not only are we looking at food insecurity, but we're looking at it from multiple lenses.
Right.
And that is what we call collective impact.
Okay.
Generating different ideas once we understood what the food insecurity meant to those partners, generating different ideas, and then what we did is we had a showcase of those ideas through our Research and Innovation Day.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So food insecurity, so what does that mean?
So food insecurity is a very broad term. I think people automatically go to the lack of food, but it's also about stigma. It's also about people not want, so high school, for example, people not wanting to eat in the cafeteria because of body image issues. People becoming food insecure because of parents losing their jobs. People being food insecure because they move out of their family home for the first time and don't know how to cook. So many, many different issues.
Yeah.
So we really looked at it from a very broad perspective and understood the complexity of food and health and mental health and community and social isolation. So
that's very interesting, because when you get those different perspectives, you're going to say, oh, hadn't thought of it that way, or didn't realize this would affect somebody here. I think of even our wonderful little school in Port Sydney where they had healthy snacks, and I think in the beginning it was for children who maybe didn't have enough to eat.
Yes.
And now, because to remove that stigma or that feeling of standing out because you don't have a great lunch, everybody gets a healthy snack.
Yes.
And
that's what they do at Twin Lakes too in the high schools, is that it's for everybody.
It's
so
for
it
everyone.
becomes a place of community gathering rather than a
Yes.
place of not people that do not have. It becomes a place of connection.
Right.
Yeah. So the ideas that the students generated was encased in a program or a showcase called Nourish. And so the students, because we only have them for 2 years, because most of our programs are diploma programs.
Right.
We do have many degrees, some engineering degrees in partnership with Lakehead, for example, and postgraduate. But these students in particular were diploma students. So they presented their ideas and entered them into a repository, a website repository, so that it becomes open source, so other people can then add to the ideas.
Oh, that's
so we're hoping to
fantastic.
have a community conversation around these ideas of food insecurity, isolation, et cetera, et cetera. So it's quite fabulous.
Well, that is so brilliant, because again, you're empowering young people to have a voice and say your opinion matters,
Yes.
your ideas matter, and then to open that up to other people to say,
Yes.
okay.
And invite people into the conversation.
Oh, that's just so brilliant, because again, we need to be a society that says, if you see something, do something about it, even a small little thing. And of course, in this day of technology, you can open it up.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's so exciting. So to get this Ashoka designation, was this a difficult thing? With this, yes, it took a lot.
So the designation is a college-wide designation. So it's a systems designation. So what that means is that we had to put together what's called a change team, and that was representation of all people from all over our campuses, our 7 campuses. So we had representation from the community, our board of governance, our students, our faculty, our staff, our senior leadership, everybody around the table looking in on the system to see what was going on. So what courses do we offer that offer opportunities to learn about social innovation and entrepreneurship? What co-curricular or what things happen outside the classroom? What kind of policies do we have? What kind of resource allocation do we have? So we had to look at everything to make sure that we were authentically setting up a system to allow these change-making opportunities for students to happen. So once that analysis was done, the lovely thing is that you become part of the Ashoka network, which allows us to get feedback from other schools that are doing good work. So we were able to get some ideas from other changemaker schools across the globe, but also other schools were able to take some of our ideas. And it's very reciprocal. They came in and toured around and breathed life into our ecosystem, so they wanted to see the document in real life. And they met with students and they met with community, and they saw some of the programs that we were running and some of the results of some of the research that we were doing. And then we had to be interviewed with seven different people interviewed us at a selection panel. And so when I say us, it was my colleague Tracy Mitchell-Ashley, who is the change, my co-leader.
Okay.
So we went down and they just asked us tons of system questions and to ensure that this was an authentic
ask, and yes, that you could, So it sounds like quite a process.
Yeah.
It's not to be taken lightly.
We got presented the Ashoka designation in Boston, which was the global conference in April. So it was very
so just
fantastic.
this past April?
So we actually got designated in April. In August. But the designation is officially given out to you at the conference, so that you can be there with your colleagues.
Oh, that must have felt so good to get.
Great.
That's fantastic,
and very well shared, because it was the work of everybody.
Yes.
It was a work of many different departments and many different ideas and students and faculty and staff all together. So it was a real
Amazing. And how were there many people at this conference?
The Ashoka, it's called the Ashoka Exchange. There was probably 750 people there.
And they're all interested
from all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah, all interested in social innovation and education.
So
all interested in
incredible.
using education for change.
Yes. And isn't that just, it has to be so inspiring, because a lot of times when you want to create change, you feel a little isolated in it. And that's where I think that this is such a brilliant movement, because to know that anywhere in Georgian College, if you're talking about an idea, it's going to be well received. Let's talk about your idea.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's also a parallel to when you look at change making and social innovation. The key skills required to be socially innovative are things like creativity, are things like leadership and collaboration. And these are all what we call 21st century skills that all students from all disciplines require to be employed. So these are what our employers are looking for. So it's those hard skills, but it's also those soft skills that are a result of some of this change-making work that we're doing. So it's an educational framework as well as a cultural change framework.
Yes, and I have to think that when after you receive your diploma, you've been at a change-making school, that's going to look good on your resume. It just is. That means that you've been a part of change, and you're not afraid to share ideas or to have ideas, and who doesn't want that in the workplace?
Yeah. And you'll see that a lot of the post-secondary institutions are beginning to really value what we call experiential education, which is that hands-on. And Georgian and our fellow community colleges, that's what we've specialized in for years. Part of a student's graduation process, they have an opportunity to print off what's called a co-curricular record. Okay. So not only do they get a diploma that honors the academic work they've done, but they can also track the experiential work that they've done. So for example, being part of our student council, or if they were involved with a community activity, that is tracked for you, so that you do have documentation that allows you to speak about your skills in different ways. So that's also fantastic, a co-curricular record.
And I think it is so imperative in this day of technology, where a lot of our young people they're not sharing ideas, they're just texting, and they get sort of sucked into this world of technology, which is wonderful, but it can also be addictive and prevents you from relating to people and sharing and having great meaningful conversations, which it sounds like this is the perfect forum for that.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and of course, part of change making is always how do we engage with technology in a way that can help make change. So if you're looking in nursing or in IT or in engineering, how can we use some of those technologies to help change systems and improve systems for either patients or consumers or for environmental purposes? So there is that balance of really embracing technology so that we can use it to change systems, but also be very aware that we need to continuously practice our communication skills and our emotional intelligence,
our humanness
elements.
Yes, absolutely, and it is about balance, isn't it? Because again, technology is an incredible gift, and that means that you can have a global movement from your living room.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And create that
be connected to all of those. For example, you can contribute to the Nourish Post right from your kitchen table and start adding those ideas into food insecurity.
I just think that's so fantastic. And in this day and age, a lot of people say, oh, this is happening and we're ruining our environment and we're doing all of these things. So what can we do to change that? And Ashoka says we're all change makers.
That's everyone a change maker.
Everyone a change maker.
Yeah.
And I love that, because you can either sit back and have your coffee and complain about how bad everything is and these young people, or be a part of what can we do to change that and to fuel the positive.
Exactly. And when we first started talking about it, I would get some staff sort of having that imposter syndrome because they thought that change making had to be this grandiose thing, systems changing. And actually, change making is a mindset and an attitude. So it can be from a supportive role. You're the one that is allocating resources so that good changes can happen. You're the one that is coaching a staff member to do the difficult process of change, or you're the one that is helping that student with their ideation process. So it takes many different forms. The purpose of it all is that you are connected to that whole movement of change making as the end result.
Well, and it's funny because I interviewed one gentleman who was Volunteer of the Year, Colin Wackett. He was such a lovely man, and when we're talking about volunteering or change making or anything, we don't all have to lift the 10-pound bags of potatoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? We need a techie person.
Yes.
That's not me.
Yes.
I want to have a meaningful conversation, and then I say to my husband, okay, dear, this is a tech thing.
That's right.
That's your section.
Yeah.
But we need every piece of that, don't we?
That's right.
And we can all contribute to the change making. I love this. And is their goal to have every college? Can every college be a part of this?
It is a designation process, but what we've been working with Ashoka Canada on is resources and professional development opportunities for staff that are interested in embedding social innovation in their programs. So we're in process of working out a way that we can engage colleges in a quicker way. Okay. So how can we create a community across Canada where we are sharing best practices in our college community and our university community, but specifically I'm talking about in our college community so that we can support faculty and staff to build programs. So many good things are happening in Canada. At the college level. It's just a matter, as I said before, knitting everything together so that we have a common purpose, and when we have a common purpose, we can help each other amplify, but also support.
Yes,
in terms
and learn
of making
from
good things happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you say a lot of good things are happening, what are some of the great things happening?
Oh, there are social innovation incubators happening all over the place. There are and fantastic programs going on around truth and reconciliation. There are fantastic programs going on around pitch contests, around entrepreneurial ideas. There's fantastic ideas going on, as I said, the experiential learning partnerships that are happening with community organizations to ensure that students are getting outside the classroom and helping in the community on very innovative projects. Yeah. So colleges do this very, very well and have done for years.
That's so great. Yeah. So social innovation incubator.
Yeah. So
can you elaborate? I just pictured some
incubator.
Eggs and a warm chicken.
Yeah. So those eggs are ideas.
Okay.
And so it would be where students and faculty and community members and staff, anybody can go into this area. Sometimes it is a space, sometimes it's not. But these incubators in particular may have a space where coaches can be there to support the amplification of an idea, or to have the idea looked at in different ways so that we can say, hey, maybe we have to pivot. So there are places where ideas can potentially grow into either systems changing ideas or potentially into enterprises, and that's the monetization of those ideas. So it's a support place where people can be together and learn and amplify ideas as a result of coaching and others.
So when you say that community members, everybody gets together. So how would you find out about, hey, there's this social innovation incubator happening, come and join in, or is there?
Most of them have a specific name. That's a very generalized name. But at Georgian College, for example, we have the Community Impact Labs. Okay. But we also have the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center, and we have a Center for Applied Research and Innovation. We have a new building that's opening up in September.
Oh, I didn't know
and that will be a giant, what we call a maker space. So that's where people can come and make prototypes, be around others that are in that ideation stage. Sometimes it's that, being in association with those that are in that stage, that there's whiteboards everywhere, there's specific equipment that can help you prototype your thing that you are trying to ideate upon. So so Georgian has quite a few centers that you can access in order to surround yourself with support systems.
I just love it. So you would go there, you have whiteboards and different community members, and once again, just giving everyone that feeling of their opinion, their ideas matter. And doesn't that just gets people flowing? And then you say, well, what about this? Oh, that's great. Let's do that. And I picture everyone writing on the board and getting excited about ideas together.
Or have you thought about this? Or have you checked your context? Or so to make sure that we are also being authentic and honest across the way so that we are not married to our idea rather than the issue that we're trying to solve, right?
That's right.
So that's where the human-centered design piece comes in.
Right. This is all so exciting. And you said that the social innovation piece is with every program, like within every program at Georgian, right?
And again, this was when we went through our ecosystem, this was something that we knew right off the bat, is that these things are already happening all over Georgian.
Right.
It's a matter of connecting them and knitting people together so that we can amplify what's already happening. So the important thing is to see what social innovation means from where that person sits. So yes, every single program has a learning outcome in it that is associated with either entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship, and that shows up in different ways.
Right. I just so have you seen? What is the feedback from the students? What are they saying about?
Well, our Georgian College Student Association, for example, has embraced this incredibly. Their last two leadership conferences have been centered around change making. In the Barrie campus, we have a new director position in the student council called the Director of Change Making.
Oh, I love that.
This is the heart and soul of what students are all about. So
this is so
it's been
exciting.
a lovely partnership with them.
Wow. So where do we get information about this? Where can people learn more about it?
You can simply go on our website. Under our community tab, you'll see Ashoka Changemaker Campus. You can find out some information there. I think all of our contacts are there.
Georgian College.
Georgian College's website.
Which is?
GeorgianCollege.ca.
GeorgianCollege.ca.
Yep.
Well, this is so exciting, and I think because this is the first college in Canada with the Ashoka designation, you can be a wonderful example for all of the other colleges.
I hope to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just thank you so much
You're
for
very
everything
welcome.
that you do. I can't believe we're almost out of time.
I know.
It happens so quickly, right? And I love this. So thank you for being a part of creating the change that you want to see in the world and helping other students do that. And I want to go tour around. Can I have a tour of the campus?
Aurelia? Yeah, Aurelia is a great place to be. Let's go.
Yes, I really do. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us today for Real Life Talks. This is a show about learning how to just show up for yourself and show up for others. So if you want to be able to just show up, you want to be empowered and resilient, my call to action is plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks. Bye for now.